present to you now something the likes of which you've never seen before. The most dangerous combination of professional sports. The skill, the strength, the stamina, and the ability of two men blended together as one. The most exciting combination in the history of professional wrestling, twin sons of different mothers.
Chris Adams and Mike Currents.
Let's body slam the competition.
Hey, this is Jeff Jarrett, the king of the mountain and founder of Global Force Wrestling, and you're listening to Body Slam the Competition.
All right, everybody. Welcome back once again to a great episode of Body Slam the Competition. We had a great pay-per-view tonight, the Hell in a Cell 2016. Mike, did you take any notes here, or you like a man of mental capabilities that you remember every single bit about it?
I remember what was memorable.
You are the Rain Man of wrestling, Mike. I'm going to tell you. That's what I like about you, man. That's why I'm serious. I mean, from me to you, love it. Technically. You know what? Killjoy's rubbing off on me. I'm starting to ramble. It's getting terrible.
You got that Alzheimer's coming on, Chris. Not good.
Old timers. What do you think about the pay-per-view tonight? Did you enjoy it?
You know, the pay-per-view started off very strong, and I thought, man, this is going to be great. And then for me, as the night drug on, it started to peter off into mediocrity, and then into downright sewage.
Yeah, I have a problem with tonight's show, and I'm gonna possibly make some people mad with this, and some people might agree with me. I don't know. It's just my personal. It's just my personal outlook on it, and everybody, you know, you're entitled to your own opinion. If you disagree with me, whatever, let me know. You just tell me, comment on it later on when you listen to this. If you listen to the replay of it, comment on it and tell me what you think about how wrong I am if I am. But I personally don't believe that the women's title should have been the main event. I think it should have been Kevin Owens versus Rollins and made that the main event and had them flip-flop their match. I did not like the fact that was the main event and what we got out of it. It wasn't a bad match, but it wasn't the match that I thought Rollins and Owens was, and Owens and Rollins could have been an even better match if they had just left Chris Jericho out of the mix and let them two put on a great match. And yet they didn't do it. It's classic WWE screw up. It's what we're beginning to become more and more accustomed to, I'm afraid. So, but anyway, it's just crazy stuff. Mike's going to check on a call for us real quick. He'll be back here in a moment. But allow me to ramble on, I guess, for about a minute. I'm just not. It's not that I have a hatred for the women's matches. I like the women's matches. I think they're great. They're a step above what we've had in a while. I used to think the best thing we would ever get was Trish and Lita and Beth Phoenix and such, and now we get this great group of girls that are wrestling. But I did not think it deserved main event status.
All right, Chris, shut your mouth.
Main event.
Shut your mouth. A real man has showed up.
I'm not going to do it because it's his fault. I was rambling to begin with. He rubbed off on me in the wrong way, and I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to take it. Hello, Killjoy.
Hello, gentlemen.
I just told Mike a while ago I was rambling right off the bat, and I said, man, Killjoy's rubbing off on me. That's what's bad. I'm just rambling on like it doesn't do nothing.
If you wouldn't stand in his closet watching him at night, you wouldn't have that problem, Chris.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing. You're kind of like ceiling cat. I don't know what that's all about. But you're trying to say that, like, my rambling is a bad thing, and it really isn't most of the time.
Most definitely.
Anyways, you were
There's
saying,
only one person. There's only one person allowed to ramble, and that's Robert Plant. All right, because he's rambling on. Rambling.
Nice.
I'm not going to sing it for
done.
you, but you get the point.
Look, Chris, I want to come out and say that I agree with you 150,000% that there is no way the Raw Women's Championship should have main evented any pay-per-view in which that the Universal title was also defended.
I mean, are you trying to take a step in the direction where you're going to make the women's wrestling a separate brand like you have everything else? If you're trying to push it that hard and get that much attention, there's other ways of doing it without making it a main event. Isn't this 2 pay-per-views in a row? Or is it 2 out of 3 that they've gone main event?
2. Only 2.
2.
Only 2. Okay. Because I remember one more for sure that was a main event, and I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before, possibly.
I'm going to say it was the one before. Don't quote me on that.
Now, I got into a little bit of a Facebook argument, if you want to call it that, with some people who were a little butthurt over something that someone else had said. And granted, this other person has the intelligence of a jar of mayonnaise, but he was right this time. The blind squirrel gets the nut every now and then.
Mm.
But, that was his opinion, that there's no way the women's title should have been. And they were like, well, what do you have against the women's wrestling? Well, I don't have anything against women's wrestling. What I have is you have a brand-specific championship that you are putting above what is supposed to be your top-tier title that they boast not only in the company, or not only in the show, but in the company, which, we all know that's bullshit anyway. The Universal title is definitely not the top title in the company. But they didn't do it any favors tonight by not only it not being the last match, the main event of the night, but they also put it behind the World Tag titles, or the Raw Tag titles, and the Cruiserweight title. I mean, the hell is this booking?
Now, let me ask you. You made a comment just then about it not being the most important title. And I'm not trying to bring SmackDown into the picture here for a long-term conversation, but temporarily here, do you still think that if we're looking at a company as a whole, not just the brand, SmackDown and the brand of Raw, the title that AJ Styles holds right now, is that not still the top dog title of the company over the Universal title?
In my opinion,
it's the same here. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And
AJ Styles has the George W. Bush of titles. Kevin Owens has the Jeb Bush of titles. It wants to be important. It wants to be relevant, but it just can't quite get there.
No, you're absolutely correct about that. That's exactly what it is. Unfortunately, they're forcing another title, calling it Universal, because guess what? Universal's bigger than what? Anything. The problem is that the WWE World title is established, and has established over that. This Universal title, I don't think they should have called it a Universal title. I don't know what they should have called it, and they should have not put it on the Nakamura jacket. So what I'm saying is they're really pushing it. It's almost like the Cena factor. They're pushing it, and Roman Reigns. They're pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until you're either going to accept it or you're going to violently reject it, and they don't care. And
that's something else right there. That is something else right there. Another one of my gripes about the show tonight. Are we making Roman Reigns, once again, holier than thou? Is he indestructible? Is he unbeatable? Is he John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Ric Flair rolled into one? I mean, it doesn't matter what Rusev put on him. And I'm not saying I was pulling for Rusev necessarily, but still, in all realism here, of all the stuff he put on him, nobody should have got up and walked away from it. And in the end, when he had him, and his finishing move with that chain pulled across his mouth, that should have been the end of the match right there. End of the match. I don't care what anybody says. End of the match, period. Roman Reigns loses, tries to get it back again later, keep that feud going a little bit longer, because the two of them could put on some good matches with each other, but don't make Roman Reigns indestructible and unbeatable. He should have lost right then and there.
Exactly. That's the only gripe I have with that whole match, too.
It was a good match. Don't get me wrong. Listen, it was a good match. The way to start off. It wasn't a great match. If he's Mr. Indestructible, it should have been a better match. Will Rusev ever be a world champion? I would like to see him. I think he's a pretty decent character. But you're right. Game over. That's what I said to my wife. I said to a buddy of mine, I looked over. I was like, this should be game over. And I knew it was. As soon as the chain came off of the mouth, for whatever reason, he was too tired to hold it. And then, and the one thing that I'll say that was amazing with that spear is that Roman Reigns had a very small distance in order to get that spear and not kill himself doing it, breaking his legs on the, trying to do that spear. So I'll give him that. Other than that, what I don't understand is why can't baby faces lose once in a while? I don't understand why they can't go. They can't lose. This way you come behind them. Why does everybody have to be indestructible? It doesn't make sense.
Hey, is it just me or is it rocket science? Why did the WCW and NWA look so good for so long? Why did it keep our interest? Why did it keep our attention? Because you always wanted to see Ric Flair knocked off the top of the mountain. You wanted to see Dusty Rhodes win. You wanted to see Magnum TA, Ronnie Garvin, Barry Windham, whoever.
Anybody
to see them win, and it would keep us wanting it more and keep watching it. Well, now it's like now you've got, and they did a fairly decent job of returning to that thing a little. It seemed like when Seth Rollins was the company, the company guy with Triple H and Stephanie, and they kept making it where he wasn't going to lose that title. It seemed like, and working things out in his favor. I mean, it's just. Man, it's not that I have a hate for Roman Reigns either, because I feel bad for the guy. He's such a bad rep all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing it to him, though, like you're saying, by completely forcing him down our throats nonstop, and people don't want it. I don't think anybody was really mad when he won the U.S. title. I don't think they were really mad, but I think that what drives people bonkers is that when they put something on him, it's his to keep until he messes up or something, like, substance abuse policy or something, whatever it was. He had 30 days off for it, and he's not paid for that.
His arch nemesis is the drug test.
Well, there you
exactly. Go. Exactly. Well, but here's the thing, real quick, and I've explained this before. Rusev was a monster, obviously, until he ran into who? John Cena. There's more than a few ways that he that could have went down. John Cena, not him, but the character and the company buried Rusev, and then Rusev had to be with this ordeal with Lana and all that. I really feel like he put in his time. Give him the U.S. belt. Russia is not exactly, well received in the United States right now with all that's going on. Why would you not go back a little bit to the page of the 80s, make him a fucking monster heel, or at least a hated heel, put the title on him, he's the U.S. champion, and then have America's hated sweetheart go back after him? It doesn't make sense. A lot of things tonight did not make sense, and I know you guys would hate me because I know you guys agree with each other, but I disagree about the women's match tonight. I think it should have been, and deservedly so, the main event, and I'll explain why. Very simple. If you watch the match that happened between Rollins and Rollins and KO, which was a great match, it still wasn't, even the impact wasn't that great. It wasn't a great impact. If you would have put that in the main event and watched that, and I watched the women's match, I would have flipped it over. Because nothing significant happened. Nothing really significant happened. It's not like, what's his name? Jericho turned on KO and went with, Rollins, or something significant happened. Nothing significant happened other than KO won with Chris, and who he has done that, so it doesn't really matter. Like it or not, this was a historic time for women's wrestling. And I wanted to see it. I think some of the stuff that went down during that and some of the botches weren't that great. But then again, people were botching throughout the night anyway. My thing is, I was in anticipation the whole match. I was trying to see where they would go. This was a huge moment for women's wrestling. And when you have these guys, these smarks, if you will, going crazy over women's wrestling, they're doing something right. They're not wrestling like the quote-unquote divas of the past. So, I'm not saying have them to do every time we're going to do a match because they deserve it, blah, blah, blah. But in this particular instance, it is a Hell in a Cell that in WWE history has not happened in a hellacious match. I think they did pretty well, could have done better, but then again, the whole night could have been better. That's just the way it is. But I have to disagree. I think that they earned this spot. And why not? Again, it doesn't have to be every pay-per-view. But once in a while, yeah. If it's worthy, if it makes sense, put them on. It made sense because it's historical, and these are two of the best when it comes to women's wrestling. Put them on last. Because, again, I love KO, and I love, Rollins. They put on a great match, but there was nothing came of it.
I'll give you a follow-up to it. This is the reason why I say it. Okay. And to get you in Mike's opinion here, which belt is supposed to be the higher up belt, the more top belt in the company for Raw? Is it supposed to be the Universal, or is it supposed to be the women's belt?
Universal.
Well,
AJ?
I think
Universal
well,
or
let me
women's
put it
belt?
this way. No, listen to me. If they are on parallel, if you
How?
think about it.
How?
Because the
Because
women's title
one's women's and one's
listen to me,
men's. They're supposed to
listen
be
to me.
equal or even.
Yeah,
I get that
equal.
part.
That's what I'm saying. They're equal. Now here's the
They
thing.
aren't equal though.
But they are.
How are they
you're talking
equal?
about because number one, they don't have a women's tag team title. All they have, unfortunately, besides the NXT women's title, is the NXT or the WWE women's title. Which
No, they have the SmackDown
can't...
Women's Championship. They have two women's titles. They have the
Okay,
Raw
they're
Women's
just-
Championship
right.
and the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah. And they're both parallel to each other because that is the top title for the women. The women cannot wrestle a man.
Yes,
So,
they can. China was Intercontinental Champion.
I know, but they don't do that anymore.
Why not?
We're talking about what they
And
do
a lot of
now.
people
We're
weren't
not
before
talking
that either.
Yeah, exactly. And China was like, she was practically a man. Come on, let's face it. God rest her soul and everything. But you know what I mean? Like she was, she wasn't like the other girls. Here's the thing. That's why, and I don't have a problem with that superseding. And let's be real. Before the women's title, you know how many times the world title has been contested in the middle of the match, and then some kind of gimmicky match is the main event? I mean, come on. It's been happening for the last 5 years. So if we're going to go on that, we can't just say, oh, yeah, this title is bigger than why is this and why is that, because they're always going to go with what is going to make the most sense. And what, like, let's say Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Do you really think that match is going to be mid-card?
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Well,
really
no, it'll
think
be a
that
main
match is gonna
event
be,
because it's a one-off.
It'll be main event.
It's a one-off
Exactly.
match.
It's a one-off match.
Right, but you're not detracting from any other title by putting a title above it on the card. That's what I have issue with. If the Universal title had not been defended tonight, I would have zero issue with the way that they did it. But because because the Universal title was defended, the fact that it was defended in the middle of the card.
No, that you have a valid point. I'm not saying that. You have a very valid point on that because you have but they've done that before, and they've also done this. There's times where they put in a world title, and then all of a sudden they put in like Natalia versus fucking Alicia Fox, or like whatever the male version of that would be. You know what I mean? Like Braun Strowman versus a jobber. You know what I mean?
Right, but then they're segueing into that gimmick main event that we're talking about, like Goldberg, Lesnar, and that does kind of make sense because that gives people a chance to go to the bathroom, go to the concession stand, get a popcorn, whatever, before the actual main event. But that's also the difference is, if you think about it, when you were watching about 2 years ago, when you were watching a Raw or a SmackDown, when did you go to the bathroom? Which matches, honestly, did you go to the bathroom? When you were like, oh, time to go to the bathroom. Think about it. Well, during the commercial. I never went to the bathroom.
No, not commercial.
The New Day match.
What?
I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll do it. The women's match, the Divas, not women's, Divas matches. I would get up because they Brie Bella, whoever the one with the big titties, she watches or she has improved, and I won't say she hasn't. She has, but she's still not a women's wrestler to me. She's a diva. Like I think if she went against some of the other ones, if she went against Sasha Banks or any of them, she would get killed. But
oh,
so
God,
then I would
no.
leave.
Sasha Banks about killed herself 5 times tonight.
Yeah, well,
I lost a ton of respect for Sasha Banks tonight. My wife even sat across from me and said, "She is horrible. Why is she even in the ring?"
I just don't like, she was off. I don't think she's terrible at all. I think she's great.
Dude, she like landed on her head like 6 times.
Yeah.
I think accidents will happen sometimes in a match. You'll see accidents
were happening all the time.
And another thing we got to look at too, how many times have they put Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair in front of us? Or just say Charlotte, not Charlotte Flair. But really, I mean, how many times have they thrown those two in front of us for us to watch? And there's not a whole lot of change in between. Like, we're seeing since Becky Lynch has gone to SmackDown, all the other one we have now is Bayley. Have we seen much of Bayley versus either of those two, or has it just been those two mostly going at each other? For the most part,
the Bayley Dana Brooke match was a better match than the main event.
It wasn't bad. I was into it. I liked it. It wasn't bad.
The Bayley and Dana Brooke match. I really do.
I thought it was or something, but yeah.
I mean,
let me ask you guys something. Let me ask you guys this, and then we'll start off with the beginning of the pay-per-view and kind of work our way down here.
Sorry.
But do you ever think that they will come up and split off to a women's brand on Raw? Like they've got NXT, Raw, SmackDown. Will they ever come out just with the WWE Women's Show and have it like that?
No.
If they're smart, no. If they're smart,
do you think they have enough to sustain it if they tried to?
No.
No, not at all.
Even if they call people up. I'm not trying to say I'm bored or anything, but I'm just saying, like, let's say they take the women from all three shows, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, they put them on one show. Is there enough talent to make a 1-hour show each week?
Well, there's enough talent, but is anybody going to watch it?
That's
the thing. I don't know. See, that's my argument. Y'all are saying the women's getting so big in WWE, and I get it. They get a lot of good matches that's put forth. They've made a big name for the women's wrestling in WWE. So if they're making such a big enough name that they're okay to main event, why can't they sustain a show on their own for an hour a week?
Because
they're not that good.
Else. I wouldn't say that they're. I'm not saying that they're not that good.
They're not that good. I mean,
no, I'm not saying they're not that good.
They're not Sexy Star. They're not Cobra Moon. They're not. Mariposa from Lucha Underground. I mean, it's just not that. It's not the right product. What they're having them do is not right for them. It wouldn't be entertaining enough for me.
So you feel there's more just eye candy than there is wrestling?
No, I think it's a style of wrestling. I think it's a style of wrestling that they're trying to put forth, because women and men are not the same. Physically, they're not the same. So they need to wrestle differently. But it seems to me that the style that they're pushing, the women are wrestling more like, I don't know. It's just, there's not as much grace and agility as one would think there would be in a lot of the women's. Now, some of them, yes, but not all of them.
It depends. It depends on where they come from. In Japan, they're smooth as silk.
Exactly. If they had all Japanese style lady wrestlers, they could do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but then it would be New Japan women, and then nobody would watch it. But no, here's the thing. Then what they need to do is find Japanese female instructors, and have them come to the performance center, and really do it. Like Akusa, you can't have Akusa in the ring with these other kids. Because Akusa would kill them. She did a spinning back. She did a spinning back fist to Emma and killed her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're strong style. They come up as what people don't understand is these women come up like men. They come up like the young boys in the dojos. They get their asses handed to them. That's why they're so good.
And they learn what works for them. They don't. It's not just mimicry. It's not just going out there and going through the mechanical motions like sometimes I feel like I'm watching with some of the women's wrestling has come a long way from pillow fights and thong underpants.
Oh yeah.
And
it's not just like it's Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler in the ring anymore, right? We've got some more. We actually get there and put some wrestling moves for us to see.
Right. They have definitely improved tremendously. However, they are not to the point where they need to be in order to stand on their own as their own entity.
That I will give you. That I will give you.
All right, so we got another 5 or 6 matches we got to cover before we only got an hour this time, guys. We could spend all night talking about this, Tress. We could put a whole show on this if we want to. As a matter of fact, we will do that one day. We will make one whole show on this, even if it's just an hour only. We'll do it. But we got to squeeze the other ones in for sure. Did either of you watch the pre-show?
I did.
No.
Okay.
I missed it.
Okay, yes and no. So we had, basically in the pre-show, we had the cruiserweights, the 6-man tag cruiserweight match. I like Cedric Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's got a lot to offer.
It was a good match.
It is good.
I would almost rather see Cedric Alexander than I would TJ Perkins. as a champion. I think Cedric Alexander's got some great stuff in the ring. That's not taking anything away from Perkins, or even Kendrick, or the rest of the guys are in it. But you had a 6-man tag with Sin Cara, Cedric Alexander, and I forget the other masked guy's name that was on their team.
Yeah, it escapes me too. But all I remember was watching that 6-man and thinking, wow.
I think his name is Botch Cara.
Yes.
Okay.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then they had a great 6-man tag. It was very entertaining. I had a great time watching it. I've always liked the matches I've seen come from the cruiserweight division. I always thought it was very good. Great match they put on, and it ended up with Sin Cara and Alexander, and the other one was Alexander getting his move in there for the finishing move. I keep wanting to say fatality. It's like I got Mortal Kombat on the brain tonight or something. I don't know what's up with that.
That would be much more fun to watch.
Oh my gosh!
Finish you.
Flawless victory.
Flawless victory. No,
but it was
as far as Cedric is concerned, I think Cedric has the best marketable and entertaining. Like when I watch him, I can feel his energy. Whereas TJ is amazing. I mean, he was so speedy I didn't even see. It was almost like a blur. The thing is, I don't think he has the personality outside the ring to carry the championship. Let's face it, we have to give kids, these titles and this, that, and the third, but, and you have a veteran like Kendrick, so he needs to have a title. It just makes sense. But, there's certain people you watch, and Cedric Alexander is one of those cats, even in defeat, I want to watch more of, because he has that energy. He has a great sense of the ring and great sense of the crowd. And he's not like, you know what I used to hate when I was younger? Watching Brutus Beefcake. Because I hate people that look to the side, and they look to the side again, and their eyes, and they look, and I'm like, stop with that and just punch somebody. Stop.
That was probably
what I mean?
cocaine.
Well, okay, that's true. Okay, never mind.
You know who else I really enjoy? Rich Swann. The guy is entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There ain't no party like a Rich Swann party, huh?
That's who you put the titles on. Put the titles on guys that you couldn't, especially with the cruiserweight. You want to have this cruiserweight. You put all this time in the cruiserweight. Put it on kids that are going to be like, wow. When WCW had its cruiserweights, the reason why they were so successful was because the cruiserweights blew away everybody. It didn't matter who was on. It didn't matter who Goldberg was on. It didn't matter who was on. People at Worth the Salt, any fan knew what you're here for, cruiserweights. And you have to have that kind of thing. It's so early. Put it on somebody who can really bring that about. I want to see Cedric Alexander. I can't wait to see him. You know what I mean? And it's me. I don't think people are talking about, TJ at all. And I love his, entrance. I love all that. But I don't think he has that personality. He's kind of cardboard to me. Good wrestler, cardboard.
I mean, he's got that entrance he does, and that's the highlight of his personality is his entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And beyond that, I'd rather sit here and eat a plain rice cake with some bland water with it or something. It's what it reminds me of. It's just plain, nothing great about it. He does have some nice moves in the ring occasionally, and his fatality. There it is again, fatality. Once again, Mortal Kombat on the brain. His finishing move, his I forget what he called it. It looks like a reverse figure 4. The ankle buster or something like that, or what is it called, Mike? You called it last week, I believe.
Oh, I forget.
Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It looks like a reverse figure 4 almost. Calf buster.
Yeah.
Calf buster. Yeah. Calf crusher.
That is calf crusher. That is a pretty cool finishing move. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing he does that I'm into that I like because, that's new to me. I haven't seen it before. I've seen him do it. I've seen plenty of people flip around the ring and bounce off the ropes like crazy. You see highlights of people online do this all the time. And it's like, great, you're acrobatic, but, where's the rest of the match at? But it was a pretty good match, with Sin Cara's team, Alexander, and the other guy getting the win. And then we go on to the pay-per-view itself. And the first match of the night is one of the Hell in a Cell matches. They bring out Roman Reigns and Rusev. And we kind of touched on it earlier a little bit, or for the most part, a lot, actually. and made our complaints about it. But I still say that Rusev should have won the title at Hell in a Cell at this event and went on to the next one to defend it against him again. I think that they could have built up some more things over Raw, go back and forth with each other the next few weeks, not have matches on Raw with each other, but just build up to it, build the story up a little bit more, and have one more meeting between the two at the next pay-per-view for Raw. Not, the Survivor Series, because that's going to be Raw versus SmackDown, basically, but the one after that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too, is that with Rusev, I just kind of feel like Roman Reigns, they're making him the heel without being a heel. He came in, he ruined the wedding. He was making fun of, Rusev's family. And then at the end of this, when he won, he kind of had that, laugh. That was, he just, kind of looked and was laughing. Why is he not a heel at this point? Why? You know what I mean?
Because you can't turn Rusev good. You can't turn Rusev good.
He doesn't have to, though. The thing is, he could be, at least planting the seeds, do something. You know what I mean? Even if he attacked Rusev and then he went to attack somebody, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I'm just saying that the WWE's doing weird things with both competitors. Rusev, they don't know what they're doing to him, and they're just doing the same thing with Roman Reigns. It doesn't make sense.
Mike, he said it right earlier when he said that Rusev should have that belt and be milking this whole thing about, the guy, the Russian United States champions, what it would be. They should really be milking that, because if you remember back in the day when the Desert Storm stuff was going on, what did they do with Sergeant Slaughter? They flip-flopped him into being a heel supporting the Middle East, basically. And when, you've always had people hated from there, like the Iron Sheik was always hated. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov hated people. Boris Zukov, representing Russia, a hated person. Ivan Koloff, Nikita Koloff, when they were, supporting Russia, they were hated people, and it's always USA versus Russia kind of a deal. The fans dig that. They get into it. That's what they should be doing right now. Put it back on him. We see how it's going, though.
But they did that tonight. They were doing chants of USA. They were doing it. They were doing chants of USA. But the thing is, Roman Reigns is not the poster boy for America, and that's what I'm talking about. We need to have somebody and have that, or at least maybe not go that black and white. We need to have somebody coming in and doing that bit, and somehow doing it 2016 and not 1983. You know what I mean?
Mike said it a while back. Mike, you said it a while back on who should be coming in and facing Rusev for the U.S. title. Rusev should have been the champion again for a little bit, and it should have been Roman Reigns. You called it yourself a month or two ago who it should be coming in, because there was a rumor about it, and you said Kurt Angle. That would have been a big thing if Kurt Angle came back for a little run against Rusev for the U.S. title. I know it's not world title worthy like he was when he was here before, but he's not exactly the younger Kurt Angle that was here before, contending for the title. To come in and be a fan favorite and try to take that United States title back from Rusev and represent the USA, that would be something good for him to do.
Like I said, there's two ways for Kurt Angle to come back into this company right now. That was one of them, and the other is to come in and to turn American Alpha into the next Team Angle and lead them to the SmackDown tag titles.
Right.
I don't think he's ready for that role, though. I think he needs to be in the spotlight one more time before. Everybody wants to see him. If he came out, people would mark out. People would mark out, and even though he's older, he still can go. He can still go, and he can go with Bruce. It would be a great match. It would be a physical match, and Rusev's a very physical, entity. So I'm just saying.
What would you guys think about a stable? Now, this is kind of off topic for a second. I know I'm going to pay for this because we're really going to run the clock down doing this.
Yeah.
But
good. Thanks a lot.
I know, and I'll take full responsibility for it.
Damn, Chris. Why couldn't I just make it 2 hours?
What happens? Well, we already set it for an hour. You said set it for an hour this time because it was going later, so I did. I can't change it now. But anyway, what would you think of a stable? And we'll just touch on that. Seriously, briefly, guys, if Kurt Angle was to come back and create a stable with American Alpha, what would you think about throwing Jack Swagger in with the mix? Jack Swagger and American Alpha with Kurt Angle leading that little stable there and making something out of him.
I don't think it'd be organic. I don't think it'd be organic. It would be more like, it would make more sense that it would just be, Angle. I think Swagger would get lost in the mix, and unfortunately, he's just not a relevant guy. So
we the people.
We the people, but I don't know if that would work. What are we doing? Are they face or are they heel?
Well, he's a face. Trust me, he's a face.
I would say they have to do it as a face, definitely.
Okay, well, if it's face, then we need to leave the We the People stuff out. I mean, I guess we can, but that was the focus. And if we're doing,
well, I'm not saying use We the People. I'm just saying as far as him fitting in with an American themed group. We the People, and that's what they practically were. They were America right there. Him and Zeb Coulter, America at its best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Chris, let's get back on topic.
Let's get back on topic here. Well, now we got Bayley versus Dana Brooks. Bayley versus Dana Brooks.
It was a decent little match. I'm not a big fan of the Bayley to belly as a finishing maneuver because it's just the belly to belly suplex, and that's my thoughts on that.
Killjoy?
I didn't see the match, but I can tell you right now, I don't like the meatball. Dana Brooke. I think she's terrible. She looks like a meatball with large arms. I can't stand her. I don't like the way she talks. I don't like the way she wrestles. It's terrible.
I put on Twitter.
I like Bayley.
I put on Twitter earlier. It said hashtag Dana Brooke has 22-inch pythons. I mean, come on. Why not? She wants to flex when she comes out every time, like she's Hulk Hogan or something.
I know.
I think I'll take Bayley over Dana Brooke any day in the match, anytime they do it. Dana Brooke's not very entertaining. She was only good for, sticking her nose in a match for Charlotte a few times. Other than that, because it annoys my daughter, say hashtag Hug Nation. She can't stand it when I say hashtag. Too old, Dad. You can't say hashtag.
That's hilarious.
I just did it again. Hashtag hilarious. That's right. Next match. We'll skip on to the next. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, next match, we get the Club versus Enzo and Cass. And as always, entertaining on the mic. The Cass coming out and running off the mouth, calling one of them the big gal and the other one Andy. And that was some pretty classic stuff they had tonight.
The promo was great. The match itself was so-so. It's, I'm getting tired of... Okay, Anderson and Gallows needed a win. They really did. But I'm really getting tired of them feeding Enzo and Cass to the wolves all the time. And it's, they're so over with the crowd, but they just can't ever seem to get any traction.
No.
Well, here's the thing. I love Enzo and Cass, but they're gimmick now. It's unfortunate they're gimmick. You know what's going to happen. This is how it always happens. Enzo's going to do most of the work in the ring. He's going to hit the hot tag to Cass. Cass is going to be the one to either destroy whatever, but he's never going to be in the ring more than Enzo. It's never going to happen. There's never going to be a hot tag to Enzo because Enzo's not an impressive figure. Let's face it.
Right.
That's on the mic. He's a great wrestler. I like him as a wrestler, but his personality is better than his wrestling, and that's just the way it is, and it sucks. As far as Anderson and Gallows do not impress me. I know they come from great stock as far as Japan, and Carl Anderson's great and everything like that. I was never big on Gallows, no matter where he was. I still am not. And all the fanboys are like, they're abusing them wrong. They're not entertaining to me. They're decent wrestlers. Well, like I just say, he's a good wrestler, and then there's Gallows. That's how I feel. Like,
well, I can't
you could put him with any big man.
I can't ever disassociate Gallows with Festus. Every time I see him, I just think, biscuits and gravy.
Do you guys think they're suffering for not being a part of the club anymore? I mean, like the legit club like they had in Japan?
The Bullet Club? Yeah.
The Bullet Club, yeah. I mean, do you think they're suffering from that right now, being on the run as a tag team?
That'd be like asking Disco Inferno how he felt when he wasn't a member of the NWO.
Yeah, exactly, right? Not that even really helped either. But, here's the thing. With the Japanese, you're talking about Japanese versus American crowds, they're different. And you have the smarts that are like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 Ashley Gallows, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because they were in the Bullet Club. If they weren't in the Bullet Club, they wouldn't be special. Kenny Omega is special. The Young Bucks are special in their own right, even though it's a spot fest. AJ has been over. Prince Devitt, Balor, is over. Those guys can do it by themselves. Those guys can go anywhere and do it by themselves. Anderson and Gallows cannot do that. The only reason why they're in the position they're in is because they were in the Bullet Club. And nobody can tell me otherwise. It's their reputation. And I'm not saying that they're not good wrestlers. I'm saying they don't live up to their expectations.
Exactly. I agree.
And the WWE is always looking for entertainment. That's why Enzo and Cass are always going to be over. Just like the New Age Outlaws, always going to be over, no matter what, because they entertain. Now, do I think that Enzo and Cass are the best wrestlers on the face of the planet? No. If they went to Lucha, they didn't have anything, and they had to tell a story based on their wrestling, I don't think they would be known for their wrestling. I'm sorry, they wouldn't be successful.
Wrestling or spelling ability.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Hey guys, I gotta ask a quick question before we jump to the next match, which was another Hell in a Cell, and it kind of leads into it. Okay, I know I felt this way, and I want to know how you guys felt. Do you feel that the Hell in the Cell has become a watered down mere shell of itself as a match, as an event, as a kind of a ominous thing? And do you think having 3 Hell in a Cell matches in one night has further crippled the
overkill,
the allure?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we had 3 Hell in a Cell matches tonight, but I don't even feel like we had a single Hell in the Cell.
It wasn't a great one, not a great version of one. No, not really.
It was just it was like a big cage match that.
Well, it's like anything else. Let me put it this way. It is definitely a watered-down version, and tonight was the total example of what happened. When Mick Foley was saying all this stuff, like, it's shortened careers, okay, that's fine, but it's a PG match. The reason why it was great in Hell in a Cell is because the brutality. You throwing each person into a cage and blah, 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 that's not scary. Show me a match between the very first one with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. That was brutality. We don't even do we have to mention Foley and Undertaker?
No,
that's the bar. Every match in there was so brutal in some way, shape, or form. Even
it was like the match the match you went to when the blood was so bad, when the feud had come to such a head, and there was almost real hate for each other.
Exactly.
And now it's, it used to be a shot of straight Jack Daniels, and now it's a watered down Jack and Coke from the barmaid who feels so, slighted by the fact you only put $1.20 in the tip jar that she puts like 2 micrometer droplets worth of Jack in your Coke and charges you full price for it.
And then gives you a shooter just to piss you off. I mean, a shooter, a chaser, just to piss you off. Or think that you're badass. Like, stop. Look, let's put it this way. It's not heck in a cell. It's Hell in a Cell. And tonight, it was heck in the cell. Like, stop.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it right there, actually.
So, Chris, the next match was another heck in the cell. It was a Universal title match.
KO with, we might go ahead and just throw it out there, with
Uncle Jericho.
Yes, over Seth Rollins.
You better watch it.
Owens and Y2J over Rollins. you know what? I'm okay with KO keeping the belt.
Yeah.
Because to me, like I said earlier, it builds up a little bit of hate like they had for Flair over the years when people try to get it and they get so close but don't quite get there, or occasionally they get it and then lose it back later. It kind of builds up to that same feel I was talking earlier, but I think they ruined it by bringing Chris Jericho into the mix. And the only way, in my opinion, to bring Chris Jericho into the mix is if Rollins and KO are done and you're turning the attention of Rollins toward Y2J as a feud with him. That's the only way that should have happened. But and I don't know if that's what they're going to do or not, but that's what happened anyway.
I would think that if they're smart, they're building it up for a KO, Y2K or Y2J,
split
match.
up there.
Yeah,
split up.
yeah.
And
that's the only way this can end.
They're going to build it up because this is the one title that Jericho needs to solidify. Did he not own every title?
Yes, sir.
Owned a man?
He has, yes.
I think that's what it is.
Yes.
And this is the only thing that eludes him. They could build that up to be a sweetheart story, whether he wins or not. People are going to be behind him. The thing that pisses me off more than anything else, no list of Jericho, and no using the list of Jericho somehow to knock out Rollins. I'm a little pissed off about that.
And the whole Jericho thing building up. Do you guys think? Well, let me ask you this: if they were to build up the Jericho and KO thing till it reached WrestleMania, at what point of WrestleMania do you think that match should be? Should it be kind of an opener toward the middle or a mid level like they did tonight, or should they main event WrestleMania, the two of them, for that title?
Well, they can't main event WrestleMania unless Jericho wins the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about that. That's the whole point of the Royal Rumble. Well, let's say Jericho gets in and wins the Royal Rumble, then they could do that. Let's say Jericho wins the Royal Rumble, and that's the animosity between the two, knowing they got to face off against each other, and something happens between the two before it gets there, and now there's a new hatred between the two building up, and they headline WrestleMania.
You just built up a hell of a WrestleMania, and you built up a hell of a Royal Rumble. Because let's put it this way: what's the last few things they botched? The last two Royal Rumbles. Think about it.
Right.
They botched the hell.
You ain't got to think about it. They were that bad.
They were that bad. So imagine.
And the people that won them really botched too, because the fans didn't want nothing to do with what happened with them.
Well, because they screwed up, and then the WWE thought that they were making amends. Because if you think about it, here comes Batista, who wasn't exactly like, he came in and people weren't like, ah, and then he comes in right in the Royal Rumble. What does he do? He wins something. Mm-hmm. Where people would have loved to see Reigns win because those were the last two in the match, right? So what do? They give Reigns the win, but they put in 3 or 4, except for Ambrose. They put in 2 other people. I think it was like a Big Show or like Corporate Kane. People that nobody cared about them going to, if they won, to WrestleMania. So what did they do? They made it predictable, number one, and then they gave it to Reigns, which they shouldn't have done, and that was it. So they fucked Roman Reigns from the get-go. So there was a whole bunch of shit that went down. So then now, this would be great. You have Jericho. He's in with, it doesn't matter who he's in with, somebody that's a monster that you think, and then he wins. People would lose their fucking minds. And now, KO and him are going to WrestleMania. That would just be huge.
And see, that's why the WWE listens to this podcast, and they steal all of our damn ideas, and they don't send us any freaking money. Brand split.
Yeah, because I don't think that they have yet. I've been putting out good ideas. They don't do anything with them.
There is somebody, and I can't think of the person's name. Mike, if you asked Chad Franklin Moss, if you ask him, he can probably remember that person's name and tell you. This is back around the time we were in No Holds Barred originally, in that little group we were a part of for wrestling. He could probably remember this person and tell you this person claimed WWE ripped off WCW, TNA, and ECW of all their stuff and tried to make it their own. And sometimes they did make it their own and make it better, but they ripped off the ideas of everything they've had that's been great in the last 10 years, from 10, 15 years from the other companies. So the fact they're ripping off from us shouldn't be anything new, right? I mean,
hey, Chris,
they're taking
guess
from
what?
everybody else over the years.
We've got like under 10 minutes. So the next
Well, we
match...
only got 2 matches left. See, that's good. Just 2 matches.
No, we got 3
Let's
matches. We got 3 matches.
One of them's going to take no time. One of them's going to take no time.
The Cruiserweight Championship was a snooze fest.
Kendrick and Perkins. What does they talk about?
They were muting the crowd, you could tell, because when Brian Kendrick got thrown outside, you heard plain as day the guy right next to the...
Get a haircut.
Get a haircut, you fucking hippie.
Yes.
Those were the exact words.
Nobody cares about that. I mean, I feel bad for Brian Kendrick. Nobody cares about that feud. No.
They don't care about that match.
Kendrick,
AJ, the point was is that the entire crowd was chanting boring, but they were being muted. They were being muted.
But they made a bad match between the 2 guys. I don't think those 2 guys should have been involved with it. Once again, Brian Kendrick is not the person I think to be, feuding with T.J. Perkins, but they did it as like a whole mentor kind of deal thing. I think it was a stupid way to go, but they did it.
It was idiotic. But, so let's move on to the good news. Is that the New Day is still the WWE World Tag Team Champion.
And Mike, just for you, I saved this match for the last. I saved it for last just for you, Mike, so you could do that.
Mike, do you do the hits when you say that? Because I do.
I do every single time. And my son tells me, Daddy, you got to dance like Big E when you say that.
It's funny what you do. And it's funny he asks because, that makes me think Killjoy's picturing you doing that while you're saying that. It's kind of a scary thing. Hey,
him and most of the women of the world are actually picturing me doing that, Chris. I mean,
so you're including Killjoy with most women then.
Look, I just want to make sure you're in rhythm because I know you're white and I'm Spanish and I still have that Spanish rhythm. So I just want to make sure when you're doing it, you're doing it the right
I'm
song.
telling you what, I lack rhythm. I am beyond white. It's like I'm like Strowman bred white when it comes to rhythm.
He said Strowman bred.
Mike, I got to ask you a question because the guy who was commentating on the match earlier, the guy from NXT, I think is who it is. I can't think of his name, but started out as a wrestler and went to the announce booth. He asked the question when Cesaro was swinging dude around in a circle. He said, "Hey, since he's swinging a unicorn, is that like a merry-go-round?" That was the highlight of the match for me. That one comment. Everything else was the same as I have seen every New Day match so far.
I'm telling you, the New Day is just holding on to those titles to break the record.
It's getting old, though, man. It's getting old. So old.
It's not. I'll tell you what, though. I'm going to tell you something. They're better heels than they are faces. It's the truth. They have to think of material. You can tell that they're trying to think of material.
Right. But they can't go back.
Yeah, they
can't go back now.
They can.
That's
like when The Rock tried to code that. When he was Hollywood, when you tried to be The Rock was like Hollywood. Nobody was buying that. Or Stone Cold as a heel. Nobody was buying that.
Now, I'll tell you what exactly what. It was like when Hogan was NWO Hogan going against The Rock at WrestleMania. And the crowd was having none of it. They were cheering both men. And Hogan just threw it all out. He just said, screw the Hollywood stuff. He started doing the Hulkster stuff. The crowd goes wild. They gave him the show they wanted. The New Day cannot do it. They can't go back.
No, they can't. They can't. I mean, they're doing the best they can. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not funny, but they're not as funny because they, as a heel, obviously, you don't have to hold back. You really don't. You can let it just fly. But I enjoy it because once I see stupid, what's his name, Kofi do that clap when he comes out, I laugh every time because he looks like a jackass with that smile and that clap. They're just hilarious and they're great and they're a lot more talented. I honestly thought they were going to lose tonight because they have Xavier. Because to be quite honest, come on, Xavier's great, but he doesn't have at least the size that and the agility that Kofi has. So,
it's my prediction that they're just going to hold the titles until they break Demolition's record, because that's all what WWE is about anymore is breaking previous records.
Yeah, exactly.
With their titles right now.
Exactly. Although I don't think the Demolition should ever have had the titles to begin with, so that's the thing.
Now, who do you think is going to take the titles from them finally, though? Who are they going to relinquish the titles to? And I'll tell you who I think it has to be, because you got to do something with them. You got to build them up more than what you have. And as much as I want it to be Enzo and Cass, it's not going to be. They have to put them. They have to put them on them. They have to have somebody.
They're going to call somebody up from NXT first. They're going to win it. The club's going to dismantle.
But there's nobody in NXT that's entertaining enough as a tag team to come up and take it from them. It doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter because it honestly makes no sense for the club to be able to beat the New Day after not being able to beat the New Day 15 frickin' times.
I see that's WWE's fault for doing that too, because they brought them in just like Rusev, building them up big as being monstrous tag team kind of guys, and then wouldn't put them over against the New Day because the fans are cheering booty-os.
So okay, I gotta make a quick thing here because we're getting down the wire. Evidently, there was a wardrobe malfunction during the women's match, and Sasha's ass came out. I didn't see it. Did either of you guys notice?
Sorry, no, didn't see it.
Wait,
did you see
that?
I heard that there was a wardrobe malfunction and that there was part or all of Sasha's booty came out. I think somebody might have just been seeing her forehead and thought it was her ass.
Dude, I thought her hair was coming out. It looked like her hair was sliding off at one point.
Dude, she has the biggest forehead. I think it grows. It's like a glacier. It just keeps moving.
Well, if she decides for whatever reason to get out of wrestling, she could always be a billboard.
This is true.
Advertising.
I would say great. Now we're never going to get Sasha Banks on the show like I always do, but being the WWE makes their people sign some kind of agreement they won't go on podcasts other than Stone Cold, Jericho, or Flair, or somebody else. It ain't going to matter anyway, I don't guess, is it? So talk away.
No. And I don't get it. I mean, do you guys find her attractive? Because I see all these people on Facebook, oh my, Sasha's so hot. And I'm looking at her like she looks like the little dog from Two Stupid Dogs with a big forehead. And I'm like,
I don't see the attraction. I don't see the attraction most people have.
No, it's the kind of thing that you would, it's your sophomore year of college and you roll over and you're like trying to chew your own arm off to get away from it. It's like, oh God.
Listen, I think she's attractive in certain lights, usually with them all.
Yeah, the dark.
Yeah, the dark. No, I'm not kidding. I don't really kid. No, I really do. There's certain times where I think she's very attractive. You know what Tim says? Tim says she looks like a chihuahua.
Exactly. She does.
She looks like a rat.
I mean, I'm sorry. You said the lights off. I'm sorry. I'm still laughing over that. I can't. It's almost as bad as the two-bag joke.
And it's not about beauty because, trust me, Charlotte is no beauty queen. She looks like her father.
She does. There's something about her. There's something about her that I find
She even has Ric Flair's ass. I mean, come
on. She got hips, too. Jesus Christ.
I know. It's got shoulders, hips,
ass. I don't want to know why it is you know that or think that, so I'm going to let that be. But
have you not seen like any wrestling from the 80s, Chris, where Ric Flair, all he wears is little tights with RF on it? I mean, you can't help but notice his daughter has the exact same shape. The only difference is her implants are bigger than his.
Oh, that is true. So we're down to 1:15, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It was a good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it for the most part. I mean, I'll probably give it a solid B just because I liked most of the matches.
Yeah,
but it's pushing the B with me. I mean, it could be a B minus, but I'm just going to stick with a B at that point on that. Hey, the YouTube channel taking off great. We've loaded a lot of our older interviews on there, and people are taking to it really well. We've gotten 6 or 7 subscribers last week, maybe 8 or something like that, I think. From what we had, a ton of views. I was really surprised to get that many views in that 2-week period it's been up. But YouTube channel is doing good, so everybody go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, and listen to the podcasts on there. We'll have more coming in the days to come. We'll be uploading as well. Next week we'll have, I don't know, I think it'll be a surprise. Me and Mike will discuss it later. We'll come up with a good idea. We may even have a little guest. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But until
Chris
that time,
finally want to tell you guys how to get rid of that pesky genital fungus.
Exactly. Don't forget to go to the Twitter page, the Facebook page, and the YouTube page. I'm not going to tell you where they are. You should know by now. It's been great this week, guys. I'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great